My daughter-in-law sat across from me at the dinner table, fork poised like a conductor's baton, and announced she was restructuring the household finances. I smiled, nodded, took another bite of mashed potatoes. "Dean?" Vanessa said, her voice dripping with that particular brand of condescension reserved for people who think they're smarter than everyone else in the room. I know change can be uncomfortable, but trust me when I say this is what modern families do. We optimize. We streamline. Optimize. Streamline. Words she'd picked up from whatever YouTube financial guru she'd been binging lately. She used them like weapons, little verbal grenades lobbed across the table while my son Tyler nodded along like a dashboard bobblehead. "Makes sense," I said. Mira, my wife, shifted beside me. I felt her knee press against mine under the table. Our secret language. Translation: play along. So I did. "I mean, Dad," Tyler jumped in, trying to sound casual but coming off rehearsed. "You've been handling things the old way for so long. It's time to bring everything into the 21st century, you know?" The old way. As if paying off a mortgage, building a business from scratch, and keeping a family fed and clothed for 20 years was some kind of outdated concept. Like using a rotary phone or writing checks. I'm 43. Not ancient. Not ready to be shuffled into a corner while the kids play house with my life's work. But I smiled. "Sure, Tyler. Whatever works." Vanessa beamed. She actually beamed, like she'd just won something. Her blonde hair was pulled back in one of those deliberately messy buns that probably took 20 minutes to perfect. Her nails were immaculate, that expensive gel polish she always talked about. Everything about her screamed image, performance, the kind of person who lived their life like it was being filmed for an audience that didn't exist. "I'm so glad you're being reasonable about this," she said, reaching over to pat my hand. The gesture made my skin crawl. "I was worried you might be resistant." Resistant, like I was a stubborn child refusing to eat vegetables. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out casually, glanced at the screen. A text from Janet, our neighbor 3 doors down. Janet was the neighborhood information hub, the kind of woman who knew everyone's business before they did. The text read, "Heard Vanessa telling Kelly at yoga that you're phasing out. Thought you should know." Phasing out. Like a discontinued product. Like old inventory nobody wanted anymore. I felt something cold settle in my chest, but I kept my face neutral. Years of negotiating with suppliers and dealing with difficult customers had taught me how to control my expressions, how to smile when I wanted to scream. "That's great, Vanessa," I said. "I'm all for modernizing." She smiled wider. Tyler looked relieved. Mira's knee pressed harder against mine. I excused myself, stood up, grabbed my phone. "Just need to check something work-related real quick." "Of course," Vanessa said, dismissing me with a wave of her perfectly manicured hand. I walked down the hallway to my home office, closed the door behind me. The room smelled like leather and motor oil, the faint residue of the shop still clinging to my clothes. My desk was cluttered with invoices, parts catalogs, the organized chaos of a man who actually worked for a living. I opened my email. There it was. The monthly statement from First National, the account Vanessa had been talking about, restructuring. The household finances she wanted to optimize. The account that had my name as the sole owner, not joint, not shared, mine. I'd set it up that way 15 years ago, back when Tyler was still in elementary school and Vanessa was just some girl he'd mentioned once or twice. Back when I was building the business, buying my first inventory of Harley parts, taking risks that could have bankrupted us. Mira knew about it, we'd discussed it, agreed on it. It was our safety net, our insurance policy, the account that held the real money, while the joint household account covered daily expenses. Vanessa didn't know it existed. She thought the joint account was everything. She thought she could waltz in, reorganize, optimize, and somehow take control. I forwarded the statement to her email. No message, no explanation. just the PDF attachment showing my name in bold letters at the top, the balance sitting comfortably in 6 figures, the transactions dating back over a decade. Then I walked back to the dinner table. Vanessa was in the middle of explaining her vision for a family financial dashboard when her phone chimed. She glanced at it, still talking, then stopped mid-sentence. Her face went pale. "Everything okay?" I asked, all innocence. She stared at her screen, blinked, stared some more. Tyler leaned over, looked at her phone. "What is it?" She didn't answer. Her mouth opened slightly, then closed. Opened again. "That's—" she started, then stopped. "This account, we never discussed." "Oh," I said, sitting back down, picking up my fork. "That's the primary household account. The one you were talking about restructuring, right?" The silence that followed was beautiful. "Your name is on this," she said slowly, like she was trying to solve a puzzle, and all the pieces were the wrong shape. "Yep. Just your name." "Yep. But I thought—" "The joint account covers groceries and utilities," I said, spearing a piece of chicken. "That account covers everything else." Tyler looked between us, confusion spreading across his face. "Dad, why didn't you mention this before?" "You didn't ask." Vanessa's confident posture had collapsed. Her shoulders slumped forward. Her perfectly positioned fork had fallen to her plate with a small clink that seemed to echo in the sudden quiet. "I don't understand," she said, and for the first time since I'd met her, she sounded genuine, genuinely shocked, genuinely lost. "Nothing to understand," I said. "You wanted to modernize the household finances. Great. But maybe next time, make sure you know what finances you're actually talking about." Mira picked up her water glass, took a slow sip. I saw the corner of her mouth twitch. Not quite a smile, but close. Tyler's face had gone red. "Dad, you should have told us." "Should I have?" I looked at him directly. "When you were having secret meetings with Vanessa's parents about modernizing my financial situation? When you were discussing how to help me transition into retirement? Yeah, Tyler, I should have told you a lot of things." The red in his face deepened. "How did you—" "Janet heard Vanessa at yoga. Kelly told Sarah. Sarah told Mira. Small town, son. Everyone hears everything eventually." Vanessa had recovered slightly, her spine straightening, her mask sliding back into place. "This is a misunderstanding," she said. "We weren't trying to push you out. We were trying to help." "Help," I repeated. "By telling the neighborhood I'm phasing out, by trying to reorganize accounts you don't control, by holding meetings behind my back?" She opened her mouth, closed it. No words came out. Tyler tried a different approach. "Look, Dad, maybe we should have talked to you first, but we genuinely thought we were doing something good. Vanessa has experience with financial planning, and we just wanted to—" "Tyler," I interrupted, my voice calm but hard. "Shut up." He shut up. I stood up, dropping my napkin on the table. "Dinner was great, Mira. Thank you." Mira nodded, her eyes meeting mine. In that look was everything we'd built together over 20 years. Trust, partnership, a united front. "Vanessa, Tyler," I said, turning back to them. "I appreciate your enthusiasm for modernizing things, really. But here's a piece of advice. Before you restructure something, make sure you actually have the authority to do it." I walked toward the hallway, then stopped, looked back over my shoulder. "Oh, and Vanessa, your tone shifted instantly when you saw that statement." I noticed. Then I went to my workshop. The garage-turned-motorcycle shop was my sanctuary. 20 years ago, it had been a regular 2-car garage. Now it was lined with tool chests, parts bins, a lift for heavy work, posters of classic Harleys on the walls. The smell of grease and metal and leather was better than any cologne. I sat on my work stool, staring at the half-disassembled engine on the bench in front of me. A 1984 shovel head, brought in by a guy who wanted it restored to original condition. Delicate work, precise work, the kind of work that required patience and skill and knowledge built over decades, the kind of work Tyler had never shown interest in. My phone buzzed. Another text from Janet. Vanessa just posted on her Instagram story something about family challenges and navigating difficult conversations. Girl has no shame. I didn't respond. I just sat there, feeling the anger build like pressure in a sealed tank. They'd been planning this. For how long? Weeks? Months? Sitting around with her parents, probably in some trendy coffee shop, discussing how to ease the old man out of his own life, how to take control without making it obvious, how to modernize their way into ownership of everything I'd built. And Tyler, my son, the kid I'd taught to ride a bike, to change oil, to shake hands firmly and look people in the eye. The kid I'd put through college, helped with his first apartment, supported when he decided to marry a woman I'd never trusted. He'd gone along with it, probably even suggested some of it. The door from the house opened. Mira stepped into the workshop, closed it softly behind her. "That went well," she said. I laughed, couldn't help it. "Yeah, real well." She walked over, stood beside me, looking down at the engine parts. "I heard her on the phone last week," she said, talking to her mother. "She said you were stuck in old ways and that someone needed to help you see the future." "The future," I said, "where I'm apparently irrelevant." "They underestimated you," Mira said. "That's their mistake." I looked up at her. "What do you think I should do?" She was quiet for a moment, her hand resting on my shoulder. Then she said, "I think you should let them keep underestimating you. Let them think you're the old man who doesn't understand modern finance. Let them think they can work around you. And then?" Her smile was sharp. "Then you show them exactly how much they need you, and how quickly everything falls apart without you." I nodded slowly. "That's pretty ruthless." "They tried to cut you out of your own life, Dean. Ruthless is what they understand." She kissed the top of my head, then walked back toward the house, leaving me alone with my thoughts and the disassembled engine. I picked up a wrench, turned it over in my hands. The metal was cool, solid, real. Not like the virtual dashboards and digital optimizations Vanessa wanted to implement. This was tangible. This was work. This was mine. I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app, started reviewing accounts, passwords, access points, started thinking about leverage, because Mira was right. They'd underestimated me, and I was going to teach them why that was a mistake. Before we go any further, hit the hype button, take a second to subscribe and like the video. It really helps the channel grow. And tell us in the comments, what would you do in this situation? 3 days passed. I didn't bring up the dinner conversation. Neither did Tyler or Vanessa. But things had shifted. Tyler stopped by the workshop less frequently. When he did come by, he was stiff, formal, like he was visiting a stranger. Vanessa texted Mira about schedule conflicts and suddenly couldn't make it to our usual Sunday brunches. Fine by me. I spent those 3 days doing something I should have done a long time ago, auditing everything, every account, every password, every piece of access I'd ever granted Tyler to anything related to the business or household finances. Tyler had added himself as an authorized manager to 3 of my vendor portals, not owner-level access, but enough that he could place orders, view invoices, change contact information. He'd done it quietly, probably months ago, using his position as my son to sweet-talk customer service representatives into granting access without my explicit approval. It wasn't illegal, technically, but it was a betrayal, and it told me everything I needed to know about how long they'd been planning this. I sat in my home office, the door locked, going through email trails. There it was, correspondence between Tyler and Midwest Harley Surplus, one of my biggest suppliers. Tyler asking about account management options. Tyler explaining he was helping streamline operations for his father's business. Tyler providing his own email as an additional contact point. They'd replied enthusiastically. Of course they had. They thought he was a dutiful son helping out his aging father. Aging. I was 43. I printed everything. Every email, every account access log, every piece of evidence that Tyler had been systematically working to insert himself into my business infrastructure. Then, I started removing him. One by one, I called vendors, explained there had been a misunderstanding, removed Tyler's access, reset passwords, changed security questions. I was polite, professional, but firm. Just cleaning up our account management, I told them, streamlining. They understood. Nobody questioned it. By the end of the second day, Tyler had zero access to anything. He just didn't know it yet. On the morning of the fourth day, Mira came into the workshop holding her phone, her expression somewhere between amused and disgusted. "Listen to this," she said, pressing play on a voice recording. Vanessa's voice filled the workshop, tinny but clear from speakerphone audio. "I mean, the man is basically living in the past. He runs this little motorcycle shop like it's still 1985. He doesn't understand digital marketing. He doesn't understand portfolio diversification. He doesn't understand anything about modern wealth management." Another voice responded, female, sympathetic. "That must be so frustrating for you and Tyler." "You have no idea," Vanessa continued. "Tyler tries to help, but Dean is so stubborn. He sees any suggestion as an attack. It's like dealing with a child, honestly. A child who controls all the money." Laughter from both women. "The good news is," Vanessa said, and I could hear the smile in her voice, "we're working on it. Tyler's been getting access to the business accounts, slowly. And once we have a clear picture of everything, we can start making real changes. Dean won't even notice until it's too late." Mira stopped the recording. "When did you get that?" I asked. "Yesterday. Ring doorbell camera. She was standing on our porch talking to Kelly. Didn't realize the audio was recording." I stared at my wife. "She said Tyler won't even notice until it's too late?" "She said Dean won't notice." "Right. Dean. Me." I played the recording again. Listened to my daughter-in-law call me a stubborn child. Listened to her laugh about manipulating my business. Listened to her describe her plan to take over, piece by piece, until I was nothing but a figurehead in my own life. Something inside me, something that had been wound tight since that dinner, snapped. "I'm done playing nice," I said. Mira nodded. "Good." That afternoon, Tyler came to the workshop. He didn't knock, just walked in like he owned the place. "Hey, Dad," he said, trying for casual and missing by a mile. "Got a minute?" I was bent over the shovelhead engine, adjusting valve clearances. Delicate work. I didn't look up. "Sure." "I wanted to talk about the other night," he said. "I think maybe things got a little heated. Vanessa and we weren't trying to overstep. We just want to help." "Help," I repeated, still focused on the engine. "Yeah, bring some fresh perspectives to how you manage things. Dad, you're great at what you do, but there are tools now, strategies, ways to maximize efficiency that you might not know about." I set down my torque wrench, straightened up, looked at him. Tyler was 24, tall like me, but softer. He'd never done real manual labor, never spent 12-hour days on his feet in a shop. He worked in marketing for some tech startup, a job I didn't fully understand, but paid well enough that he could afford his lifestyle, or rather, afford it with the supplement I provided, the monthly check I deposited into his account, the family support that covered his rent and car payment. "Fresh perspectives," I said, "like adding yourself as an authorized manager to my vendor accounts without asking." His face went blank, then red. How did I find out?" I smiled. "Because I actually manage my business, Tyler. I check things. I pay attention. Unlike you, apparently." "Dad, that's not—" "I just wanted to be able to help if you needed it. Emergency access, you know? Emergency access that you set up 6 months ago? What emergency were you planning for? He stammered. Actually stammered. I wasn't planning anything. I just thought. You thought you could start inserting yourself into my business, piece by piece, until you had enough control to push me out. That's what you thought. That's not true. Then why didn't you ask me first? Silence. Why didn't you come to me and say, Dad, I'd like to help with the business. Can we talk about me taking on some responsibilities? Why sneak around? Why work with Vanessa to restructure things behind my back? I didn't. He stopped, started again. Vanessa thought, I interrupted. Vanessa planned, Vanessa decided. What did you think, Tyler? What did you want? He couldn't answer, just stood there, looking lost. I walked toward him slowly. He didn't back up, but I saw him tense. Let me tell you something about business, son, about trust. You get one chance with people. One. And when you betray that trust, when you sneak around and scheme and plot, you don't get it back. Ever. Dad, I'm sorry. You're not sorry you did it. You're sorry you got caught. I reached past him, grabbed a folder from the filing cabinet he'd been eyeing since he walked in. He flinched when my arm moved past him. Good. Let him flinch. I opened the folder. You know what this is? He looked at the papers inside, went pale. These are the articles of incorporation for my business, the original documents, the ones that list me as sole owner, sole operator, sole decision-maker, the ones that say there is no succession plan, no transfer agreement, no automatic inheritance. I flipped to the next page. This is my will, the one I updated last year, the one that puts everything in trust for Mira, with distribution determined by her and my attorney. Not you. Not automatically. Tyler's mouth opened. Closed. You thought it was all just going to fall into your lap eventually, didn't you? I said. You thought, Dad's getting older, might as well start preparing to take over. That's not. I'm 43, I said, my voice hard. Not 70, not retiring, and definitely not handing over what I built to someone who can't even ask for it honestly. I closed the folder, put it back in the cabinet, shut the drawer with a solid thunk that echoed in the workshop. Get out, I said. Dad, get out. He left. The door closed behind him with a soft click. I stood there, breathing hard, hands shaking slightly, not from fear, from rage. Mira appeared in the doorway a few minutes later. She must have been watching from the house. That was intense, she said. It needed to be. She walked over, put her arms around me from behind, rested her chin on my shoulder. What's next? Next, I said, I make sure they understand exactly how much they depend on me, and then I take it all away. She kissed my cheek. My ruthless man. You're smart man, I corrected. Ruthless would be burning it all down. Smart is making them watch it crumble and knowing they did it to themselves. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to Mira breathe softly beside me. My mind kept circling back to the same question. When had Tyler changed? He used to be a good kid. Curious, energetic, always asking questions. He'd spend hours in the workshop with me when he was young, handing me tools, watching me work. He wanted to understand how things fit together. Then high school hit, then college, then Vanessa. And slowly, gradually, he became someone I didn't recognize. Someone who valued appearance over substance, who wanted the rewards without the work, who thought success was something you optimized and streamlined rather than built from the ground up. Maybe I'd let it happen. Maybe I'd been too focused on the business, too busy keeping the lights on, to notice my son slipping away. But that didn't excuse betrayal. I got out of bed carefully, trying not to wake Mira, went to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of water. My phone sat on the counter. I picked it up, scrolled through my contacts, found Tyler's number. My thumb hovered over the call button. What would I even say? Could we fix this? Should we try? I put the phone down. No. This needed to play out. They needed to learn this lesson, or they'd keep pushing, keep manipulating, keep thinking they could outsmart the people who'd given them everything. I went to the workshop instead, turned on the overhead lights. The shovelhead engine gleamed under the fluorescent glow, partially assembled, waiting for me to finish what I'd started. That was the difference between Tyler and me right there. I finished things. I saw work through to completion, no matter how long it took or how difficult it got. Tyler wanted shortcuts, quick wins, easy success. Life doesn't work that way. I picked up my tools and got to work. The next few days were quiet, too quiet. I didn't hear from Tyler or Vanessa, didn't see their cars, didn't get angry calls or desperate emails. It felt like the calm before a storm. I was right. On Friday afternoon, I was working in the shop when I heard vehicles pull up outside. Multiple vehicles, doors slamming. I walked to the window, looked out. Tyler's car, Vanessa's car, Robert's SUV, and a moving truck. What the hell? I went outside. Tyler and Vanessa were already at the front door of my house. Tyler using his key. No, trying to use his key. The locks had been changed. "It's not working," he said to Vanessa. "Dean!" Robert called out, seeing me. "We need to talk." "There's nothing to talk about," I said, walking toward them. "And you need to leave my property." "We have a right to be here," Vanessa said. Her eyes were red-rimmed, her makeup smeared. She looked like she'd been crying for days. "No, you don't." Tyler turned to face me. He looked worse than Vanessa. Unshaven, clothes wrinkled, dark circles under his eyes. "Dad, please. We just need to stay here for a few weeks while we figure things out." "No. We're family. Family that tried to steal from me. No." Robert stepped forward. "Dean, be reasonable. They have nowhere else to go. You have plenty of room. You can't just let them be homeless." "I can and I will." Vanessa laughed bitterly. "Of course you will. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Watching us suffer?" "I'm not enjoying anything, but I'm also not enabling your continued poor choices." "Our poor choices?" she shrieked. "You're the one who cut us off. You're the one who destroyed our lives." "You destroyed your own lives. I just stopped cleaning up the mess." Tyler took a step toward me. "Dad, I'm begging you. Please, just for a little while. We'll get back on our feet. We'll pay rent." "No." "Dad." "No, Tyler. You burned this bridge. You don't get to walk back across it now that the other side is on fire." He looked like I'd slapped him. "I'm your son. You're an adult who made adult choices. Live with them." Robert's face had gone red. "This is unconscionable. What kind of father abandons his child like this? The kind whose child tried to commit fraud using his business. The kind whose child lied and schemed and manipulated for months. The kind who's trying to teach a lesson that should have been learned a long time ago." "We could sue you," Robert said, "for emotional distress, for financial abuse, for—" "Go ahead," I interrupted. "Sue me. My lawyer would love that." Vanessa suddenly lunged at me, not violently but desperately, grabbing my shirt. "Please, please, we have nowhere to go. They repossessed our furniture, they took Vanessa's car, we have nothing." I peeled her hands off my shirt. "Then you should have thought of that before you spent money you didn't have." Tyler grabbed her, pulled her back. "Come on, Van, he's not going to help." "No!" She struggled against him. "This is wrong. This is so wrong. You can't just let us be homeless." "Watch me," I said, and I turned and walked back into the workshop, closed the door, locked it. I heard them outside. Vanessa crying. Tyler's voice, low and defeated. Robert arguing. Eventually, engines starting, vehicles driving away. Then silence. I sat down on my stool, hands shaking. They'd come here expecting mercy. Expecting me to fold, to let them in, to save them one more time. And I'd said no. I'd looked my son in the eye, seen him desperate and broken, and said no. Mira came into the workshop a few minutes later. You okay? Not even a little bit. She sat beside me. They're gone. Where will they go? I don't know. But Dean, that's not your problem to solve anymore. He's my son. He's a grown man who needs to learn he can't manipulate and steal his way through life. I knew she was right, but it didn't make it easier. That evening, I got a text from Janet. Saw Tyler and Vanessa loading their stuff into a storage unit on Morrison Street. Thought you should know. So they'd found somewhere to put their things. Good. At least they weren't completely on the street. I didn't respond to the text, just filed the information away. Over the weekend, the neighborhood gossip reached fever pitch. Patricia called to tell me that Vanessa had made a post on the neighborhood Facebook group claiming I'd unjustly kicked them out and asking if anyone could offer them a place to stay temporarily. Did anyone respond? I asked. A few people offered sympathy, but no one offered housing. Most people are staying out of it. Good. Dean, I have to ask, are you sure about this? I know they wronged you, but they seem genuinely desperate. They are desperate, and they need to be. It's the only way they'll change. Patricia sighed. I hope you're right. So did I. On Monday, I went to meet another vendor. This time in a conference center across town, a neutral location for what I'd billed as a business planning meeting. I arrived early, set up in the conference room I'd rented. Laptop, contracts, financial documents, everything organized and professional. The vendor arrived at 2 p.m. Jim, from a parts distributor in Michigan. We'd worked together for 8 years. Dean, he said, shaking my hand, got your email. What's this about? I wanted to discuss our contract and make sure we're on the same page going forward. Okay. He sat down, looking confused. Is there a problem? No problem. Just wanted to make sure you're comfortable with our arrangement and that we have a clear understanding of who you deal with. Well, yeah, I deal with you. Always have. Good. Just wanted to confirm that because... The door opened. Tyler walked in, Vanessa right behind him. Jim looked between us, confused. What's going on? Tyler's face went pale when he saw me. Dad, what are you doing here? I scheduled this meeting, Tyler. What are you doing here? Jim called me, said you wanted to discuss the contract. I thought... Jim didn't call you. I did. I sent an email from your fake Harlan Solutions account asking you to meet me here. I turned to Jim. Tyler has been impersonating me and trying to negotiate with my vendors without authorization. I wanted you to see for yourself what's been happening. Tyler's mouth opened and closed. That's not... Tyler created a fake company email. I continued to Jim. He's been contacting vendors claiming to represent my business. I wanted you to hear it directly from both of us, so there's no confusion about who actually runs Harlan Motorcycle Parts. Jim looked at Tyler with something like pity. Tyler, man, that's not okay. I was just trying to help, Tyler said weakly. By lying, by impersonating your father. That's not help, that's... Jim shook his head. I can't be part of this. Dean, I'll keep doing business with you, but only you. Tyler needs to stay out of it. That's all I wanted to confirm, I said. Thank you, Jim. Jim stood up, grabbed his briefcase. He paused at the door, looked at Tyler. Get help, kid. Seriously. Then he was gone. Tyler and Vanessa stood there, frozen. They'd been ambushed, and they knew it. How did you know I'd come? Tyler asked quietly. Because I know you. I knew you'd jump at what you thought was another chance to insert yourself into my business. This is entrapment, Vanessa said. This is me protecting my business from fraud, I interrupted. This is me making sure every vendor I work with knows that Tyler Harlan has zero authority to represent me. You humiliated him, she shouted. He humiliated himself. I just provided witnesses. Tyler sank into a chair, head in his hands. Why are you doing this to me? I'm not doing anything to you. You did this to yourself. I just wanted to be part of something. I just wanted you to be proud of me. For a moment, just a moment, I felt my resolve waver. He sounded so broken, so lost. Then I remembered the months of lying, the manipulation, the theft. If you wanted me to be proud, I said, you should have earned it honestly. I started packing up my documents. Vanessa helped Tyler stand, wrapping her arm around him like he was injured. Where are you staying? I asked, despite myself. Why do you care? Vanessa spat. I don't, just curious. We're staying in Tyler's car, she said. That's where we're staying. I felt like I'd been punched. Tyler, I said, is that true? He wouldn't look at me, just nodded. You're living in your car? Where else would we go? Vanessa said. Your house? Oh wait, you changed the locks. My parents' house? They won't speak to us because Tyler embarrassed them. Friends? We don't have any, because we spent the last year networking for Vanessa's brand instead of maintaining real relationships. So yes, we're in the car. Happy? I wasn't happy. I was horrified. But I also knew this was a choice they'd made. They could have gotten minimum wage jobs and rented a cheap apartment. Could have sold their expensive clothes and electronics. Could have actually worked to fix their situation instead of continuing to chase me for bailouts. There are shelters, I said. They left. Tyler leaning on her, looking defeated, looking broken. I finished packing up, left the conference center, sat in my truck for a long time. They were living in a car. My son was sleeping in his car. Because I'd cut him off. I pulled out my phone, started to dial Tyler's number. Stopped. This was exactly what they wanted, to make me feel guilty enough to save them again. I couldn't do it. I drove home instead. Mira took one look at my face and knew something had happened. What? They're living in Tyler's car. She closed her eyes. Oh, Dean. I know how that sounds, but they chose that instead of getting jobs and actually supporting themselves. Yeah. Then that's on them. Is it? Or is it on me for not helping? She came over, put her hands on my face, made me look at her. Dean Harlan, you listen to me. You have given Tyler everything. Money, support, opportunities, love. You taught him values and work ethic. You showed him how to be a man. If he chose to ignore all of that, if he chose to lie and steal and manipulate instead of working honestly, that is not your fault. That is his choice. He's sleeping in his car, Mira. Then he'll figure out pretty quick that he needs to change. Or he won't, and he'll stay there. But either way, it's his journey, not yours. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But that night I lay awake thinking about Tyler as a kid, about teaching him to ride a bike, to cast a fishing line, to change oil in an engine, about all the times he'd looked at me like I hung the moon, about how far we'd fallen from that, and about how I didn't know if we'd ever get back. I found out about the next level of their desperation from an unexpected source. Wednesday morning, I got a call from Marcus at the bank. Not Linda, my usual contact. Marcus from the fraud department. That should have been my first clue. Mr. Harlan, he said, his voice professionally neutral, I'm calling about an incident we need to discuss. Do you have a few minutes? Sure, I said, setting down my coffee. What's going on? We had someone attempt to access your primary business account yesterday. They had your account number, your social security number, and enough personal information to pass our initial security questions. Ice formed in my stomach. Who? The person identified themselves as you. But when we asked verification questions that aren't based on public records, questions about recent transactions, specific dates, they couldn't answer. So, you blocked them. We did, and we flagged your accounts for additional security. But Mr. Harlan, this person had information that suggests they have access to your personal documents. What kind of information? Your mother's maiden name, your first car, your childhood address. things that aren't easily guessable. All things Tyler would know, all things I'd told him over the years in casual conversation. "I know who it was," I said. "Are you willing to press charges?" I thought about Tyler sleeping in his car, about the desperation that would drive someone to attempt identity theft. "Not yet," I said. "But I want every account locked down. Nothing moves without me physically present with ID." "Already done. Is there anything else you need?" "Yeah, call me if they try again." "Absolutely." After I hung up, I sat in my office staring at nothing. Tyler had tried to access my accounts directly, pretending to be me, using personal information to commit identity theft. My son had tried to steal from me, not metaphorically, actually steal. I called Richard. "That's identity theft," he said immediately. "That's a felony, Dean. I'm not pressing charges. You might not have a choice if they try again. The bank is required to report attempted fraud. Can we prevent that?" "Not if it happens again. Dean, you need to consider getting that restraining order. This is escalating." "I know. Do you? Because from where I'm sitting, Tyler is spiraling, and desperate people do dangerous things." He was right. I knew he was right. "Let me think about it," I said. "Don't think too long. The next call might be from the police." I spent the day in the workshop trying to focus on work. The shovel head was nearly done. Just a few more adjustments, then final assembly. But I couldn't concentrate. Kept thinking about Tyler, about how far he'd fallen, about what he might try next. Around 6 p.m. my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. "Hello? Mr. Harlan?" A woman's voice, professional. "This is Detective Sarah Morrison with the police department. Do you have a moment?" "What's this about?" "I'm calling about a report filed by First National Bank regarding attempted account fraud. They flagged your name as the potential victim." There it was. The bank had reported it. "The person who attempted the fraud," Detective Morrison continued, "do you know who it might have been?" I could lie. Say I had no idea. Let them investigate blind. Or I could tell the truth and potentially send my son to jail. "Detective, this is a family matter. Can we handle it privately?" "That depends. Do you intend to press charges?" "Not at this time." "Mr. Harlan, I understand this is difficult, but identity theft is a serious crime. If you know who attempted this, you need to tell me." "And if I don't?" "Then I'm required to investigate using the information the bank provided, which includes security footage from when the perpetrator called in, IP addresses if they attempted online access, and any other evidence available. They'd find Tyler eventually, whether I told them or not." "It was my son," I said. "Tyler Harlan." Silence on the other end. Then, "Your son attempted to access your accounts?" "Yes." "Mr. Harlan, I need to be clear. Given that you're telling me this willingly and given that he's family, I'm required to ask, do you feel safe? Are you in any danger?" "No. Tyler isn't violent. He's desperate and stupid, but not violent." "And you don't want to press charges?" "I want this documented. I want it on record that it happened. But no, I don't want him arrested. That might not be your choice if the bank pursues this. They have their own security protocols." "I understand." "Mr. Harlan, I'm going to file this report. I'm noting that you've identified Tyler Harlan as the person who attempted fraud and that you're declining to press charges at this time. But I'm also going to note that this is a serious situation and recommend you take steps to protect yourself." "Thank you, Detective. One more thing. Has your son made any threats? Any indication he might become violent?" I thought about Tyler grabbing for the folder in my workshop, about the physical confrontation, about how desperate he'd looked at the conference center. "No threats," I said. "Just desperation." "Desperation can be dangerous, Mr. Harlan. Please be careful." After she hung up, I sat there feeling sick. There was now a police report with Tyler's name on it. His attempted fraud was documented. If he tried anything else, they wouldn't need my permission to arrest him. I'd protected him this time. but I couldn't protect him again. That night, Mira and I had the conversation I'd been avoiding. "Richard thinks we need a restraining order," I said. She nodded slowly. "Do you agree?" "I don't know. It feels like a nuclear option." "It's a protective option. Dean, Tyler attempted identity theft. He tried to steal from you directly. What's next?" "He wouldn't hurt me, not physically." "Are you sure?" Was I? A week ago, I would have said absolutely. Now, I don't know, I admitted. Then we get the restraining order. Not because Tyler is violent, but because he's unpredictable. And we need protection from unpredictable. I nodded. "Okay, I'll call Richard tomorrow." She kissed my forehead. This is the right thing to do. I wanted to believe her. Thursday morning, I called Richard to start the restraining order process. He said he'd have paperwork ready by Monday. Thursday afternoon, I got a text from Patricia. FYI, Tyler and Vanessa were seen going door to door in the neighborhood asking for money. Thought you should know. I called her immediately. When? About an hour ago. They've been telling people they're homeless because of a family dispute and asking if anyone can help with cash, food, or a place to stay. Did anyone help? Not that I know of. Most people are uncomfortable getting involved. But Dean, people are talking. This is getting messy. I know. Thanks for the heads up. I hung up feeling something I hadn't expected. Embarrassment. My son was begging from neighbors. My family drama was the entertainment for the entire community. But more than embarrassment, I felt anger. They weren't trying to fix their situation. They were trying to weaponize their poverty, to make everyone else uncomfortable enough to pressure me into helping. It was manipulation. Again. I texted Tyler. Stop going door to door in the neighborhood. It's embarrassing and it won't work. His reply came fast. What won't work? Asking people for help since my own father won't help me? Maybe you should be embarrassed. I'm just trying to survive. I stared at the text. Part of me wanted to respond with something cutting, to tell him that begging from strangers wouldn't fix his problems. Instead, I deleted the text thread and blocked his number. I couldn't keep engaging. Every interaction just gave him more ammunition, more opportunities to manipulate. Friday brought a new surprise. I was in the workshop when someone knocked on the door. A knock I didn't recognize, not Mira's soft tap, not the confident rap of a vendor. I opened it to find two people I'd never seen before, a man and woman, both in their 30s, professionally dressed. Dean Harlan? The woman asked. Who's asking? I'm Jennifer Martinez, and this is Thomas Quinn. We're with Community First Credit Union. We understand you have a son named Tyler? Oh, God. What now? I do. Why? Tyler came into our office yesterday applying for a loan. He listed you as a co-signer. I didn't co-sign anything. We know. That's why we're here. The signature on the application doesn't match your signature on file. We believe Tyler may have forged it. My hands clenched into fists. He forged my signature? It appears so. We wanted to inform you directly before proceeding with any legal action. Credit unions take fraud very seriously. What happens now? We've denied the loan and flagged Tyler's application. If you want to press charges for forgery, we can provide you with copies of the application and support you through that process. And if I don't, then we simply ban him from our institution and note the fraud in our system. But Mr. Harlan, if he's willing to forge your signature once, he might try it elsewhere. They left me with copies of the forged application. I stared at it after they were gone. Tyler had practiced my signature. You could see the hesitation in the pen strokes, the places where he'd gone over the letters to make them look more natural. He'd sat somewhere, in his car probably, and practiced forging my name so he could steal from me. That's when something inside me finally broke. Not broke into sadness, broke into clarity. Tyler wasn't my son anymore, not the son I'd raised. That person was gone, replaced by someone so desperate and immoral that he'd commit multiple felonies without hesitation. I couldn't save him, couldn't reach him, couldn't even recognize him. All I could do was protect myself. I called Richard. Start the restraining order and prepare documentation for a formal severance. Severance? I'm removing Tyler from my will, from any business succession plans, from any claim to anything I own. I want it legally documented that he has zero connection to my estate or assets. Richard was quiet for a moment. Dean, are you sure? That's permanent. I'm sure. My son died a long time ago. This person committing fraud and forgery isn't him. Okay, I'll start the paperwork. But Dean, take some time. Make sure this is really what you want. It's what I need, I said, and hung up. That evening, Mira and I sat on the back porch watching the sunset. I blocked Tyler's number, I said. She took my hand. Okay. I'm removing him from the will. Okay. I'm getting a restraining order. I know. We sat in silence for a while. Am I a bad father? I asked. No, she said immediately. You're a father who gave his son every opportunity, every advantage, every chance. And your son chose to throw it away. That doesn't make you bad. That makes you human. I keep thinking about when he was little, about all the promises I made to myself about what kind of father I'd be. You kept those promises, Dean. Tyler broke his. Maybe she was right. Maybe I had done everything I could, but it didn't make it hurt less. That night, I couldn't sleep again. Kept seeing Tyler's face at different ages, 5, 10, 15, 20, watching the transformation from bright-eyed kid to desperate stranger, wondering where it had gone wrong, wondering if I could have stopped it, and knowing, deep down, that some lessons can only be learned through loss.